Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us on this Thanksgiving night. I'm Linsey Davis, in for David. We begin tonight with President Trump spending his first and final Thanksgiving at the White House and taking questions from reporters for the first time since Election Day. The president erupting with more baseless claims about the results, President-elect Joe Biden and the Electoral College. The president also bristling over Biden already revealing his cabinet nominees. Reporters asking him about conceding. Will he leave the White House? And will he attend the inauguration? ABC White House correspondent Rachel Scott leads us off.
Tonight, after speaking to troops serving overseas from the White House this Thanksgiving, the President of the United States took questions from reporters for the first time since Election Day, over 3 weeks ago. Asked point blank, will he concede after the Electoral College votes?
It's going to be a very hard thing to concede because we know there was massive fraud.
Continuing to push unfounded claims of voter fraud and refusing to publicly acknowledge he will not serve a second term.
If the Electoral College does elect President-elect Joe Biden, are you not going to leave this building?
Just so you, certainly I will. Certainly I will. And you know that.
But his actions during his final 55 days in office signal he knows his presidency is over. Announcing a pardon via tweet to General Michael Flynn, his first national security advisor who pleaded guilty twice to lying to the FBI. The president telling Flynn to have a great life. But the backlash from Democrats was swift. House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler calling the pardon undeserved, unprincipled, and one more stain on President Trump's rapidly diminishing legacy. Part of his legacy, cementing a conservative majority on the Supreme Court for generations to come. In a late-night order, the conservative majority of the Supreme Court blocking restrictions on religious services. 5-4, the justices ruling to bar New York from reimposing capacity limits on houses of worship due to the raging pandemic, insisting they violate First Amendment rights. Justice Amy Coney Barrett playing a crucial role, the court shifting to the right since her confirmation just weeks ago. In a dissenting opinion, Chief Justice John Roberts, who previously served as the tiebreaker in key cases, siding with the liberals, writing, "It is a significant matter to override determinations made by public health officials in the midst of a deadly pandemic." Earlier this year, with the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the bench, the justices ruled again, 5-4, to uphold capacity limits imposed on churches in California and Nevada. Governor Andrew Cuomo today calling the decision irrelevant because the churches and synagogues that sued are no longer in the highest risk zone in the state, suggesting the court's move was political.
You have a different court, and I think that was the statement that the court was making.
Rachel Scott joins us now live from Washington. Rachel, while the presidential election is over, we know the balance of the Senate still remains in limbo. And the president now says he plans to head to Georgia.
Yeah, and Lindsay, which party keeps control of the Senate will hinge on those two runoffs for two Senate seats there in Georgia. The president saying tonight he does plan to campaign in the state the first weekend of December. And just to be clear here, Lindsay, there is no evidence to back up any of the president's claims of widespread voter fraud. Joe Biden has a decisive win in the Electoral College. President Trump lost this election by more than 6 million votes. And tonight he would not commit to attending the inauguration. Lindsay?
Rachel Scott, thanks so much. And now to America, celebrating a most untraditional Thanksgiving. The holiday much smaller and somber for many, colliding with the coronavirus pandemic amid an alarming rise in numbers nationwide. A sobering day for many families, reflecting on more than 263,000 American lives lost, roughly 2,000 deaths per day. In spite of the warnings, more than 6 million people still traveling this holiday. The CDC is now increasing its forecast to 321,000 deaths by December 19th, a record high number of hospitalizations on this holiday. Nearly 90,000 patients separated from their families. Hospital workers are urging everyone to wear masks and maintain social distancing. Here's ABC's Victor Oquendo.
Tonight, Americans doing their best to celebrate Thanksgiving under the shadow of the pandemic. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade downsized from 2 miles to 1 block. The normally packed streets of Manhattan eerily empty. Families encouraged to have smaller gatherings with their immediate household as cases exceed 170,000 per day. But people are still ignoring guidelines. The parking lot in this bar in Cincinnati packed last night.
People don't understand. COVID is serious.
Kate Thompson is an ICU nurse in Ohio, spending her holiday in the hospital, hooked up to machines to help her breathe.
I just feel it's important for people to realize that it's more than what a lot of people are making it out to be.
6 million people flew over the 6 days leading up to Thanksgiving, despite CDC warnings. Most of those 6 million will return home over the next 3 days, making airports more congested. Fears that increased travel will lead to another surge. Hospitalizations on the rise in 47 states, breaking daily records for more than 2 weeks. Nearly 90,000 patients on Wednesday, pushing the healthcare system to the brink.
I think this guy has to come down to the ICU.
This is inside Mercy, Oklahoma Hospital. Doctors here saying they used to have 1 death a week, now as many as 4 per day.
It's an overwhelming experience. It's an overwhelming problem. It's an overwhelming disease.
This Missouri doctor giving a dire demonstration of what it's like to fall victim to COVID.
I hope that the last moments of your life don't look like this. Because this is what you'll see at the end of your life if we don't start wearing masks when we're out in public.
Deaths from the virus now topping 2,000 for 2 days in a row. Michelle Reimer's father, Jim, raised her as a single dad. He checked into the hospital with COVID pneumonia. He died 2 days later. His absence especially painful today.
I will now never have another Thanksgiving. I will never have another Christmas. I will truthfully never have another memory made with the most important person in my life because of this virus.
Quinn Britt spent more than 4 months in a San Antonio hospital battling COVID. He was put on a ventilator and spent several weeks in a coma. His wife's greatest fear?
He would die and we wouldn't be there with him.
This is Quinn arriving home yesterday.
I'm about to walk in my house.
Getting to spend the holiday with his loved ones.
It's going to be the best Thanksgiving ever. There's no doubt.
Happy ending there. Victor Oquendo joins us now live from Miami. And Victor, so heartwarming to see Quinn home for Thanksgiving with his family after more than 4 months in the hospital. But now the CDC is out with a new projection that's rather troubling. Tell us about that.
Linsey, that new projection is that by December 19th, there could be up to 321,000 American lives lost to the coronavirus. It's the scenes of those packed airports, so many people ignoring the warnings that has many concerned that over the next few weeks and months, the numbers could be staggering.